So what have you just worked on?
We worked on a piece about based on a poem that
Kate Tempest.
Sorry, say things loudly and clearly for the
New ancient.
brand new ancients. Yes. Okay, so talk to me about your process. How did you start off? What were your initial idea?
we first had to choose a bit that we wanted, and
Mhm.
we liked the God bit because
Yeah.
it was very fast paced. So we went along the lines of first we thought like freeze frame, but then we thought it might be quite boring. So we went for this like chaos point style. Like we had someone in the middle, and then we'd have like the movements going on around the outside, and then that kind of led into different little scenes, where there'd be like cues of voice, and then it was like almost like a fluid movement of all these different sentences.
But we didn't use like the whole bit of the section that we choose. We picked out like certain ones.
Can you give me an example?
The gods are in the calf. And
Okay. Why did you choose that line?
we chose it because we thought about the line before that is the gods are in the betting shops, and we thought that'd be quite difficult to show. And we thought in a calf it's like everyone's in a calf.
Yeah, like it's a day-to-day thing. Like people go to the camp like quite a lot, so like people can relate to it.
We
Okay.
had the decision of either going for it being like more of an upper class sort of cafe or working class, and based on the scripts, it was more of a working class style just because of the way she writes things.
Okay. And then tell me how you developed the rest of the scene. Other ideas you had?
Well,
Based-
going to what Quaid said about we have the idea of freeze frames. I guess we sort of started off as freeze frames in a way. Like I was the narrator, so I would say the line, and when we first started it, we just have a few people in the back behind us just frozen.
Yeah, we
Um,
can like do certain gestures to
Yeah.
like represent the lines.
Yeah.
But then we
It
gradually-
didn't. Yeah, we improved it because as the narrator, because I can't see what's going on behind me, I don't know how long I need to leave before I say the next line. So then we said about having speech, having conversation for like my cues, because then that gives the right amount of time for them to do what they have to do in order to get to the next scene afterwards. And I guess
it flowed more than as well.
yeah,
We went through like a staging process where we went through it like twice, and then we were like staging out where we should be, and then how we should move into different the next one, like with the train, for instance. We went from being in cars and then gradually went into a train, and then like we can split off, and we went into classroom. It's like we picked out different bits we could move into.
So we started to move into the next scene. We were all sort of just like running around the the floor. It looked messy.
Okay. And what's the potential for this work? Where does it go? How do we develop it further? Where do you feel you pick the right essence of the line, or where do you think you got it right? Where do you think you could develop it?
I think in the end we just kind of went for ones that were easier to do. I mean, we had a thought in the first cafe bit, we had that question of was it working class or upper class, but then we with the rest of them, it's just like, this one's quite easy to do, we can flow these ones together.
And we
I think-
didn't look
and
deep
and-
into it.
Yeah.
We
How?
looked- we looked deep into the last one.
Yeah.
The one in the school, because it was like, because we all said like, "Good morning, Mr. X," really like all different chorus. It's like we're trying to say like the teachers are like molding our brains, like they're making what they want out of your brain.
Okay. So you spent time looking at that one. So how would you develop the piece further? Where would you develop it? How would you approach it differently?
We could try some of the other ones that we didn't want to try because we thought it was too hard. At the doctors and stuff like that.
And make it like less obvious. Like make something out of it.
And
that
probably
you
say
wouldn't-
something, what we say, make it a bit smarter.
Just
Actually make it
watching
mean
back what you
something.
did there, were there any scenes that you thought we haven't really said anything there? We just did it. Is there any of those little moments that you created?
The train one, you kind
Yeah.
of half-hearted.
Yeah.
We didn't try it enough on that one.
Okay.
It was just one to move
So
around.
what's the pop? Where does that go? I mean, what is the train? What is she describing? How what ideas do you have for developing that?
I'm thinking maybe if it's so people know where to work and what they're like, because all these people go to the same place in their suits, but then none of them talk.
So what do you imagine? What do you picture in your heads when you see that?
Well, like people with like newspapers, like the big broadsheet newspapers or books or tablets, just it sort of links to, it's all about like addiction in a way, I guess, because you can sort of all lead it back to that, because like Facebook, the line is the gods can't stop checking Facebook on their phones. That whole can't stop means it's an addiction sort of thing. It's become an addiction. Like, it's not just people getting addicted to drugs nowadays. Facebook or their habits, their daily lifestyle is their addicted drug.
Okay.
It's this idea of routine, so everyone goes through the same thing, but nothing ever changes. So like on the train, like I said about the newspaper and the one reading the book, it's very much stereotypes of different people.
Okay. Sammy, what scene would you look to?
I was gonna say, like, with the whole thing, like, is there like a lot of like repeating? Like, we go about our daily lives, we do this. Like, people who go to work on the train, they must go on the train like every day. So like, it's a lot of like repeating and like not anything different, just the same thing. And like being addicted on Facebook, like it's just repeating.
One of you said about choosing the gods bit because you thought you liked the pace of it. How do you feel you created that on stage?
I didn't. Like, the pace definitely changed and slowed down.
Did that work better for you, or do you feel that you need to readdress that
I
idea?
don't think it had like quite as much as an impact.
No.
Like it felt more like slower than.
I think
felt
we
we
felt we
could've done
wanted,
faster.
yeah, I felt we wanted to act it out more than actually say the line. Hence why we said the line. Well, I said the line slower, just so everyone else can get around in position, act out a scene. Whereas I think if we actually chose all the lines and we did it up to speed, maybe just a tiny bit slower, we could still, like, we don't even need to act every single line. We could just say some lines in chorus.
Yes,
That's,
yeah,
that's,
that's what I was
why I
going to say as well.
thought, that's why I thought freeze frame, because then we could sort of jump to each and it can be fast. But obviously it's hard to kind of show what's going on with a freeze frame, so it wouldn't let it all work.
I just feel like we packed too much into that then, and it
And we
doesn't
slowed it
give
too
as good as an impact as it
Yeah.
did when she read it out, just her on her own.
It's also like the way it is read out. It's like the gods are. Wait, what was it? Yeah, the gods are. The gods are. The gods are. Like ours was not. Didn't really sound like that.
Yeah.
It was more like.
And there was like lots of rhyming in
doing
it as well.
this.
Like obviously
Right.
we picked out different
Yeah.
ones.
Plus, I think like we could all have like certain characters, like also like with
Stereotypes.
yeah, or like with me narrating, I could have a specific character because I felt my lines that I was delivering were just boring, my normal voice, just plain. And
So
I
how
think-
could you develop the delivery of the lines?
I think if I could put movement into it, I could change like the pitch, the volume, the like,
Emotion.
yeah, the dynamics, all that stuff. To make it more different. Also, I think I could be positioned in a different area, maybe to the side of the stage instead, because
Or not even that. Like you
Yeah.
could have like instead of being positioned in one place, you could have walked from one scene to the other.
yeah,
sort of thing.
I could follow the scenes. Like
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
that one from the traffic jam, I could even just follow on into that to move to a different position, like say back corner or something, just to mix it up. Because especially in the traffic jam scene and the train scene, most scenes I was blocking the view of everyone else.
I think
So-
with the word God, and as a narrator, you could play with him being this God type. You know, he chooses who is the gods, and so he moves around and says, these are the gods, these are the gods," and then like right at the end with the students, the kids don't stand a chance. It's kind of this realization of, okay, what are we doing wrong here?
Does anyone else have anything to add before we finish?